Hello English 10, this is Ms. Long, and we are now beginning the last unit in our fall semester of 2015. This is Unit 4 on debate. It's been a long semester. We are headed in the final stretch, the final lap here toward Christmas winter vacation, and this will be a good way to end our semester. You've had some experience with fiction, with our literature at the beginning. We went from there into kind of nonfiction, societal concerns, with a contemporary essay, and then persuasion. All of these would be different classes in college. You're getting a really good sample through the semester of different ways that communication through reading, writing, speaking, and listening is important. So we're going to end with debate that's going to bring all of those things together, a little bit of research thrown in. And I think that you'll enjoy becoming an expert in a topic that interests you. So here's where we're going. When you think about debate, you are probably thinking about political candidates. But debate is, for our purposes, going to be a little bit more than that. When you finish our session, you will have a paper that explores both sides of a topic, a controversial topic, like in this case, the affirmative case for requiring vaccinations in school versus the negative case, why are the reasons we might not want to require people to vaccinate their children. You're going to be learning research skills. We're going to be using databases. We're going to be perfecting that whole MLA format. That was something we talked about in session 2 or unit 2, but something that maybe didn't click with everybody. So you're going to be doing research, MLA, but most importantly, looking at critical thinking. Two positions on an issue, which one really has the best argument for it. So you'll be using pathos, logos, ethos to inspire someone again to action throughout this unit. Now our unit has 4 sessions to it. That's 4 weeks. Again, that takes us up to our winter break. In our first session this week, we will be looking at what debate is in our society overall, some terminology. We'll be looking at logical fallacies, ways of thinking and reasoning that are not correct. And then we'll be taking a look at some mentor texts. Next week in debate, you will be looking at getting your research using databases for your topic, and you'll be creating a flow chart, like a pro-con chart, that brings all that evidence together. In our third session, which would be the first week after Thanksgiving break, you'll be writing your drafts, similar to what I just showed you from a previous student. And then in the fourth session, right before winter break, you will be presenting yours either through a recording of your debate or a presentation through Blackboard Collaborate. That's where we're headed. Now this week, this first session, we have 4 different focuses, 4 assignments. You're going to first look at mentor texts and analyze what makes them work. Then you'll be giving some feedback on topics that interest you, followed by some practices with logical fallacies, and a weekly quiz that also assesses some of these things here. Now, when you look at debate, you'll be thinking politics, and that's not far off, but really our purpose in debate is just that you become a critical thinker in our society and able to participate as an agent of change by thinking critically about issues that are important to us. And the skills you're developing, questioning, getting evidence, these are skills that are valuable not only in politics. That said, we certainly have a history in our culture of debate as a way of figuring out truth and selecting candidates for office. Became particularly important with the Lincoln-Douglas debates in 1858 that then propelled the guy on the penny to office in the times of the Civil War. 100 years later, John F. Kennedy and Nixon were the first ones to square off on national stage through television, and since then debates have been the par for the course with all of our elections. So it's definitely a part and parcel of politics, but it's a good way of just honing your intellect, honing your arguments, and finding truth through those processes. You'll begin this session by getting some background in debate, including some idea of the terminology that you'll need to know, what it means to have a resolution, what it means to have the affirmative, negative, what contentions are, and a look at some different types of evidence, because we can prove our point by referring to experts, true experts. We can prove our point with statistics, and statistics can lie and they can be manipulated, but statistics can give us some evidence. We can use analogies or comparing one thing to another, or we can use anecdotes of different situations, examples that prove a point. And our first assignment will be to look at how evidence is used in some actual mentor texts. So you're going to have a chance to look at some of the things that have been written previously by Jeff Coe students and analyze how those students use evidence to prove their contentions. So this will be your first assignment, and analyzing those previously produced debate topics. And then you'll start looking at topics that you might want to debate. You're going to be picking some things using some of these resources here. Some of you may have a good idea already of some things you're interested in. And I would like for you to complete a survey that is in here to share some of those debate topics and also share what your experiences were with Blackboard Collaborate in Unit 1 and whether you want to be able to use the same contemporary essay topic for this. Because if you haven't already completed your contemporary essay, you may want to use one topic to go ahead and write that essay and then go write your debate, because at least then you're saving a little bit of time on the research. So your second assignment, though, is to go back and tell me some topics that interest you, and we'll be able to use that to pair people up who want to present in real time. Now our third focus this week, third assignment, is looking at something called logical fallacies. And this may be new to you to think about this, but basically it's reasoning, it's errors or fallacies, things that are fallacious in our logic. We have logic that doesn't really match, doesn't really flow. So if you say, yeah, the Broncos only wore their orange jerseys to the Super Bowl, and every single time they wore that, they lost the Super Bowl, it must be that the orange jerseys caused them to lose the Super Bowl, then that would be a logically fallacious statement. Some of you have probably read this book, If You Give a Moose a Muffin, and it says all the terrible things that are going to happen if you give this moose this muffin. And it's a fallacy to say that because you take one step, all of these things will fall into place. So you'll start with a video produced actually by a high school student where he identifies some of these fallacies and then look at them in more detail. Ad hominem, for example, means you're attacking the person. And you don't have to listen to what they have to say. You just say, oh, you're a nincompoop, so I don't have to listen to you. Another one, slippery slope, is if we do the first thing, if we legalize marijuana, pretty soon every kindergartner is going to be stoned coming to school. If we do this one step, everything else is going to fall out badly. The black and white either or fallacy is the idea that there's only two choices. Either you let me have the car keys, or I'll be forced to go out and steal your car this weekend and go out with my friends. There's nothing else in between. False cause would be like that Super Bowl analogy. The Broncos wear their orange jerseys, and that's why they lost the Super Bowl. You can tell I'm thinking about today's game. Or it's yesterday's game, depending on when you're watching this. And the authority fallacy would be getting the wrong person to be your expert. You go to a model and you ask that model about global warming. Well, the model probably doesn't know much about global warming. And then here's Unit 3 coming back to haunt you. Bandwagon. Just because everyone says it's right doesn't mean that it actually is true. And claiming that because everyone believes it's true, it therefore must be true, is a fallacy. So you'll get into some of these and have some practice with a little bit of game time here. I've created a Pac-Man game for you to play that gives you a chance to try some fallacies. And there's an exercise that requires, again, like an embedded survey where you're going to see some of these examples. You'll read the example and figure out which fallacy it is. Because if you can identify these fallacies here in these practices, then you can not only identify them for your paper, you can identify them in the real world. And you're not going to be duped by some persuasive appeal for politics that doesn't really add up to anything significant. The final thing in this session then will be a weekly quiz, and this is one you can take twice, and I've done that in part so that taking the quiz itself is a learning experience for you. You'll get some feedback on that and then be able to improve according to your highest score. But you should have read all the pages in the session and viewed all the videos in the session before you attempt it. So take that into advisement. By the time you finish this session, you will know why debate is important. You'll know some terminology, the different types of evidence, and you'll be able to recognize those 6 logical fallacies: the ad hominem, slippery slope, either or, false cause, bandwagon, and the authority fallacy. Then that's it for this week. Next week you will be diving into research, And then we'll go from there toward Thanksgiving, toward our winter break, and many good things ahead. So please be in touch with any questions. As always, I really do enjoy getting questions and comments and messages from you. Sometimes it gets a little lonely, Fridays in particular, when everyone's taking the day off. But I'm eager to hear your thoughts on debate, as I enjoy engaging in this with you, and I respect your ideas. So have a great week. Be in touch with questions. Thanks.